Take your time, dude.
You know, something's wrong with the U.S. government.
It wasn't an anxiety plan.
Hey, I just opened this up, so I'm gonna have to give it a minute. I'm also logging into my my TikTok on the computer real quick. So give me a second. Jesus Christ. That's my dog chewing on a pig's ear in the background. Okay. Yeah, it's been a while. Okay, so over on TikTok, I was not really like. Okay, so I don't know how much you guys know about how the creator fund works, but you get what's called RPM, and it's like revenue per millia, is what it's called. Hey, Wisconsin. And so the way that works, it's like how much money you make per 1,000 views on qualified videos. Stitches are not qualified. Duets are not qualified. I'm giving my dog busy stuff because the other two are on a walk, and then he's going to go on a walk with one of the... Anyway. So it's how much you get paid per 1,000 views, right? And it usually sits around $1.06, $1.96. Sometimes it can be as high as $5.14. It just really depends on the video itself. Hold on, I'm actually gonna put him in the room real quick. Here, bud. Oh, there. There you go. He has to be supervised because he'll try to take his lick mat with him. Anyway, so I went through my account. I have no CGVs. I have none of that. I am in really good standing on my account. And like comments, videos, all that. I haven't had CGVs in years. So I looked at my RPM on all of my qualified videos. $0.00. Right? People are like, shadow bans aren't a real thing. Bitch. Yeah, they are. Yes, they are. That's proof right there. But also, I don't post as much as I used to because back in January-ish, December, January, I hit 500,000 followers. It's about TikTok, man. We'll get to it. So, if I sound out of breath, it's because I have an injury, crowds in my lung, whatever. So, what we, I don't know what their guidelines are about what can be seen on screen. So I had 500,000 followers as of December, January, and it shot up to like 517, 518 around there, maybe 519, I don't remember. And all of a sudden I started seeing a net negative gain of followers every single day. So when you have a lot of followers, it's your follow notifications become like exponential. So sorry, it's a bunch of legal paperwork. So takes up an entire fucking drawer because of a psycho. So where was I? Just got sidetracked. So I started seeing a net negative in my follows. As you grow, when you hit 1,000, you see more follows come in regularly. Then we hit 10,000, like you see even more follows. And it gets to a point where when you're in like the 20 to 50,000 range, every time you open up the app, it's like 99 plus is what you see on your notifications. That's comments, follows, mentions, all that. Around January, Again, no CGVs, none of that for last like 2 years basically. And anything that hasn't taken down has been put back up because it doesn't actually violate community guidelines. I'm really good at skating around that. I started losing like 150 to 300 followers a day. And my views went from tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of views per video into less than 1,000, maybe 2,000. Even though I had 500,000 followers, I wasn't even showing up on follow pages. I wasn't showing up on For You pages. People were trying to, like my best friend and business partner, she tried liking one of my videos and she had to try to like it like 19 times. And it wouldn't take the like. Others have had to refollow me after being unfollowed automatically somehow. It was a mess. it was a mess over there. And this all started when I made a video saying, I'm not participating in the TikTok shop. That's taking money from actual creators who built this fucking platform. Because the TikTok shop was set to like lose, I think, something like $500 million when it came out. And to supplement that, they took so much money from the creator fund. This is my theory. Took so much money from the creator fund to supplement the loss that they were going to be experiencing over on just, you know, the TikTok shop itself. So bro, easy. It's not running away. Okay. So, yeah. And then we see the TikTok ban last night. I'm not sure if you guys saw the video I just posted over there. But we see a TikTok ban last night while we're doom scrolling. It's going to happen. Then 45 minutes later, it did happen. And that was still 4 hours earlier than it was supposed to. Biden said he wasn't going to enforce the ban. And the reason why is because the ban was going to happen on the 19th. President-elect Donald Trump is being inaugurated on the 20th. That's a little over 24 hours for Biden to enforce the ban, which didn't make any sense. So he just left it alone, was like, Trump can take care of it. Trump is the one that started the whole attack TikTok thing in the first place because we were spreading information a little faster than he liked. And the truth was getting out quite a bit. So he's like, that has to go. Then this morning, you know, our abuser, social media, was like, hey, you guys get to come back. I can't go live over there. I cannot go live on TikTok right now. And when I went to TikTok to check to see if anybody was live, nobody's live on TikTok right now. Nobody's able to go live on TikTok right now. We're allowed to be here on TikTok, but we can't go live on TikTok right now. So that's kind of a pain in the ass, right? My concerns is when I woke up this morning and saw, like, I just automatically, out of habit, opened up TikTok. People who downloaded TikTok or deleted TikTok when the ban happened can't re-download it right now. Like, we have a 90-day extension, basically. Can't re-download it. People can't go live. I just making sure he wasn't going to steal his look pad. He has a mat that has, like, grids in it, and you smear peanut butter that doesn't have xylitol in it, and it goes through that. But hey, it's clean. You finished. You're good. Okay. So I, you know, go to open it this morning out of habit, and it opened up, and it was like, hey, we're back. And I was like, okay. Okay. And so I go over onto Threads because I do a lot on Threads. I refuse Twitter, and I'm slowly moving everything over to Blue Sky. But I go over to Threads, and I see that TikTok released a statement saying that Donald Trump assured them that them and their carriers and everybody would not be, like, penalized or punished, basically, for keeping the app live when the ban is supposed to have gone into effect. And so they're like, okay, since we're not going to get punished for it, we're going to bring it back. Also, Trump posted today. He said, these are his words exactly. I would like for the United States to have 50% ownership position in a joint venture. By doing this, we save TikTok, keep it in good hands, and allow it to stay up. Without U.S. approval, there is no TikTok. With our approval, it is worth hundreds of billions of dollars, maybe trillions. So I think a lot more is going on here. I think a hell of a lot more is going on here. This is a theory, and you guys can call it a conspiracy theory if you want to call it a conspiracy theory. But I see a pattern in a game plan, and the game plan is basically just get things before SCOTUS, because SCOTUS is conservative right now, right? Hold on one second. He's driving me nuts. Hey, you're done. You're done. You finished it. Yeah, no, you're done. It's staying up there. You're leaving it alone. So, if the government owns a company, first of all, I wasn't even sure if they were allowed to own a company or partial own, but they can through what's called a GSE. And a GSE is a government-sponsored enterprise. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac are two not great examples, but examples of that. So it can directly invest in the company, become a shareholder, all that stuff. And so it allows them to have ownership and influence over its operations. That's how that works. And if the United States took a 50% partnership with, say, a social media platform, they would have to apply our First Amendment rights to the platform itself. Does that make sense? So the First Amendment, freedom of speech, which almost every conservative gets wrong and doesn't understand, they think freedom of speech means freedom of consequence socially. No. They think freedom of speech means they can say whatever they want, wherever they want, in whatever business they want, these platforms being a business. So these platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and all of Instagram's, fucking sub companies or whatever, they can say, these are our terms of service. These are our shirts and our shoes. If you don't wear your shirts and you don't wear your shoes, we don't have to give you service. We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone. That's how that works, because it's privately owned. Now, if the government owns it or owns a portion of it, then it's no longer just privately owned. And those First Amendment protections of freedom of speech, which are limited by threats of imminent violence, such as inciting a riot or yelling bomb on an airplane where there is none, or fire in a crowded theater where there is none, unless it's a threat to imminent violence, they cannot censor you, right? So I think what's going to happen is someone's going to get censored. A group of people are going to get censored, whether that's a political left, a marginalized community, whatever. Someone's going to get censored. It's going to turn into a lawsuit. That lawsuit's going to go before Supreme Court. And Supreme Court, as they have shown time and time again, are going to side with the conservative administration, which would be the representation that is the government. They would be the government would be the defendants in that situation. That's what I think is going to happen. Now, like I was saying in my video on TikTok, they've already tested the waters with Roe v. Wade using women as guinea pigs, right? And they knew it was going to have a more severe effect on women of color. So they were able to say, well, we didn't take away their rights. It just went back to the states. But there was a federal right for a woman to have bodily autonomy. Now, there is no federal right to bodily autonomy. So that right was taken away. Therefore, rights were taken away. And you're going to hear, when you argue with, any conservative Republican pro-lifer, oh, no rights got taken away. Federal right did. So that's a right that was taken away. You're wrong. And you're arguing on behalf of people that push propaganda at you, but that's great. Idaho right now is going after same-sex marriage. Now, I think it was Louisiana. Let me check. I like to. Or Kentucky. civil union legislation excluding same-sex state. Proposed. I think it was Tennessee. Tennessee. Why aren't you working? Control A. Tennessee civil union anti-same sex proposed legislation. Okay, well, they have one that they passed a law in 2024, signed into law by Governor Bill Lee. The law would thus allow wedding officiants to legally discriminate against couples entering interracial unions, heterosexual unions, and same-sex marriages. So that way that was written was to allow them to deny same-sex marriage, basically. They also had a bill, I want to say it was Tennessee, that was trying to put in the bill that like the right to civil union excludes same-sex marriage, but the bill didn't pass. So what happened there is what they're trying to do is put legislation somewhere that either you accept it and you're discriminated against, or more likely you're going to try to fight that in court as discrimination, and that's going to go up to Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court can use that to try to overturn same-sex marriage rights, right? But that was only around civil unions. It didn't actually take place around just marriage in general. So they guinea pigged Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade was decided at a time when the conservative court was not so modern. It was, back in what, 73. So Roe v. Wade passed in 73, right? Or Roe v. Wade was decided in 73, and that gave women a right to bodily autonomy. At that time, it wasn't such a liberal SCOTUS, like there was no religion getting involved at that point. They tried to, more religion came into the abortion conversation not long after, but a little while after Roe v. Wade was handled. So that didn't have as many protections wrapped around it as overturning DOMA or the Obergefell case had wrapped around it. And the reason why that happened was because the lawyers who represented the plaintiffs in DOMA also represented the plaintiffs in Prop 8. Prop 8 was a legislation that was proposed in California after California had made it legal for same-sex couples to get married. That proposition was written in a way, I lived there at the time and I was a voter at the time. I voted against what Prop 8 did. Prop 8 was written in a way that would easily confuse a moderate reader on or somebody with a moderate amount of political literacy to vote against what they actually wanted. So people ended up voting down gay or same-sex marriage, right? When a lot of them intended to vote in favor of it. So Prop 8 was pushed into SCOTUS before the DOMA fight was, by the lawyers representing the plaintiffs in both cases. And the reason why they did this was because by pushing Prop 8 into SCOTUS, they were able to say, hey, hold on. They were given the right to be married just like everybody else, same-sex couples. And now you're taking that right away from that one specific group of people. So everybody but that group of people are allowed to have that right. And everybody but that group of people get to keep that right. You're only taking that right away from this one group of people. So in doing that, what they did was they were like, that's blatant discrimination. And that goes against the Equal Protections Act, right? Now, the Equal Protections Act is of the 14th Amendment. So it's in our Constitution, ratified. guarantees that all people within a state's jurisdictions are treated equally under the law. Right? Okay, so Roe v. Wade was giving women rights to bodily autonomy, and I believe Roe v. Wade had foundations in 14th Amendment. Yeah. So privacy implied, the right to privacy implied in the 14th Amendment, protected abortion as a fundamental right. So those are two things that were protected by our 14th Amendment right to equal protections under the law. Okay. So what they're doing with the overturning, what they did with the overturning of DOMA was make sure they had a safety net in place for an argument to use in DOMA, equal protections under the law. And B, that way, if it was overturned and they try to like overturn that decision again later, or try to like reinstate a same-sex marriage ban, they can say, hey, look at what you guys said in your modern court around the same time in like recent history. You guys said, and this is when it was balanced, where it was half conservative, half liberal, and then you had Roberts sitting right in between, siding with either side. This is before he went full conservative cuck. So what you have there is you have them saying, hey, you got a you got an equal protections thing here that you guys ruled on. So you guys can't take that away from them. Well, they already did it with Roe v. Wade. They got around the equal protections clause with Roe v. Wade, right? So with that having been done, now it's going to be an easier shot for them to go after same-sex marriage, which is protected by the 14th Amendment, and they're going to get that overturned. Cool. Now they got two things overturned that are guaranteed to us in the U.S. Constitution under the 14th Amendment. Cool. What else is in the Constitution? It's the very first amendment, freedom of speech. So if the U.S. owns a portion of TikTok or any social media platform, and they decide to start censoring groups of people that speak out, say, against the government, or they are critical about the way their marginalized communities are treated by the government or whatever, and they start to get censored and more positive things and propaganda and things that uphold the U.S. government in a good light get pushed forward, then there is going to be a lawsuit stating, hey, you're censoring us and you're violating our rights to freedom of speech. That will go up into SCOTUS, and conservative SCOTUS having cited almost every single time with the Trump administration and Republican legislation and policy, not Trump himself. They have cited against Trump individually, but his administration and what he's doing in his presidency, not privately, they side with. And they'll be able to chip away at that First Amendment. So when it becomes, it would be state-controlled media, state-run media, if we didn't have the First Amendment. By them chipping away at that First Amendment, they can make state-run media, which is authoritarianism, which is anti-democratic. It's anti-democracy. If they're able to do that, then they can turn it into state-run media, and therefore our rights to freedom of speech will have been attacked. And just like with Roe v. Wade in the 14th Amendment, and then if they go after same-sex marriage the same way, the 14th Amendment with Roe v. Wade, that was them chipping at it. Same-sex marriage under the 14th Amendment with the protection of another case decided at this, like in the same cycle of Supreme Court hearings, on the same calendar of the Supreme Court hearings, deciding that the 14th Amendment protects same-sex. If they overturn that, then they can start chipping away at your First Amendment right. And they won't stop at free speech. They'll move on to press. They'll move on to religion. So this whole concept of us saying, thanks, Izzy, this whole concept of people saying fascism is trying to take place. This is what the plan is. If you've read Project 2025 and see what direction they're trying to go in, they're using Supreme Court to make sure that happens. They're using the Supreme Court, the conservative-run Supreme Court, to say, hey, you know what? 14th Amendment, sorry, ladies. We're going to let this one slide. We're going to find some bullshit reason, which didn't make any sense, by the way, to get away with it. Oh, same-sex marriage? You guys? You too. You're out. Oh, you know what? We'll let the government purchase part of TikTok and then start controlling what people can say on it, which is a violation of your First Amendment. And that when that comes out of SCOTUS, they're gonna be like, you know what? The government can do that. Too bad, so sad. Oh, press, you're speaking against Trump? Well, we've already chipped away at the First Amendment, so we'll go after the press too. Oh, okay, now that we've done that, guess what? All your religions that aren't this specific Christian religion, you're out. They use the 14th Amendment. They're using the 14th Amendment. Women and same-sex or LGBTQ plus people in general, right? They're using that to chip away. They're practicing. They're using a 14th the second half, or not second half, but every amendment over the 10th Amendment is like considered kind of like an afterthought from what our Constitution was established with, right? So what they're doing is they're practicing on the afterthoughts, so that way they can take a crack at the fucking, like, what the Constitution said. It's, to me, it looks clear as day. Again, this is my theory. I recognize patterns really well, but this is a Mexican mocha, hopefully fucking from BlackRock. Hopefully Trump doesn't get that banned too. But it's just, I mean, let's look at how this was all came together. Trump wanted to ban it, then he couldn't, but because he wanted to, he eventually got to a point where it was going to get banned, and the Supreme Court that sides with him every time were like, we're not going to do anything about it. And then Biden's like, oh, I'm not going to enforce it because I only have like 24 hours. What the fuck am I going to do with 24 hours? I got to pack my shit and get out, because unlike some people, I can accept defeat. I can accept the end of my reign. And Trump talks to them. He's like, we won't bother you guys. Let's do a 90-day extension. Also, the U.S. wants 50% ownership in a position of joint venture with another private company, which would make it what I say, it was a GSE. I wanted to say GRE for some reason, but that's too school. So that's what we're looking at right now. That's what I think we're looking at right now. And it pisses me off. It absolutely pisses me off. Like, we've never been, like, Democrat run or Republican run, we have never been able to trust our government fully in any capacity. If MAGA tells you they fully trust a Republican run Congress, House, House and Senate, SCOTUS, and, executive branch, full superpowers, they're lying to you. They know they can't do that, right? Like, also, you also have all these different, Congress people, both Republican and Democrat, that purchased in the year from December 29th, 2023 to December 30th, 2024, purchased a shit ton of stock in Meta. And then recently you see what? Who just dropped the knee and kissed the ring? Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, I call him Zuckerberg. Fuck that guy. It's who else you see cozying up next to Trump? Elon Musk. Who's gonna, him and Vivek Ramaswamy. First of all, they hate each other, and now they're both gonna head up a department that doesn't exist. It has to be created. The Department of Government Efficiency. And they both hate each other, and you're going to put someone who tanked the value of one of the most popular social media platforms in the world in less than a year and a half. That is who you want to be in charge of government efficiency. And right now, you're seeing a lot of people that were our MAGA supporters being like, what the fuck, dude? This is not what I voted for. They're starting to catch on, so that gives me a little bit of hope. I'm seeing it a lot more lately. Some MAGA can be like, I'm done. I've been seeing that a lot more lately than I have in the entire, history of what we know as MAGA, right? Not just white supremacy and all that. But, you're seeing people start to turn around and be like, oh, shit. And you know what sucks? As much as they've offended us in the past and been the shittiest people in the past, I'm not saying take the high road. I'm saying strategically, it's best for us to be like, well, we're happy that you understand now. What information do you want? This is what we can enlighten you to now that you're open to it. That's our best bet with that kind of a situation, rather than be like, ha, fucking told you so, eat it, bitch. Like, you know, like, that's not the move. That move is going to lead to, you know, them putting 10 toes down and reverting back to, well, I can't be accepted anywhere else. I'm going back to where I just walked away from. Like, that's what you're looking at. But it's a shit show, man. I got out of talking about fucking this whole situation because, like, I stopped talking about politics because the left side of TikTok got super organized. You had your newscaster, leftist TikTokers like Under the Desk News, and I'm drawing a blank right now. But then you had like Harry Sisson and my best friend, my dude, and Good Trouble, and that would do the debate side of TikTok. Then you had the social justice side, which was probably had the thickest amount of people. A lot of white women not understanding how shit works, getting in there and speaking over everybody. But you know, whatever. That's what they do. I need white women to understand something. And if you are a white woman, I need you to understand this. Of all of the marginalized communities, white women are the only ones that hold value to the shared oppressor that is white supremacy. Only ones that hold value. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, you're a man and you're white, so you have privilege. Yeah, in my own community, I do. And when I mask, I do. That's funny because I mean mask isn't like hide something, but also masculine, whatever. I do. But not every gay white man can mask the fact that they're gay. And in a room full of white supremacists, your skin color and your gender do not matter as long as you are gay. You are seen as diseased and dirty, and you need to be eradicated. Like, it's not safe. I grew up and I came out at a time when I understand what it's like to walk into a business, any building, anywhere, or any environment that's not my safe space, and have to size up people around me to see which one is going to be the biggest threat to me if they figure out that I'm gay. And when I was younger, you could tell really, really well because I was living my best life. I was feeling my oats. You know what I mean? But yeah, so it seems like it's a nightmare, honestly. And the reason why I don't think they're allowing people to go live is because it's easier to moderate the videos that are being put out about this. And I made sure basically in my video that I posted up over on TikTok that, you know, like, it's very clear that I'm saying that you know, TikTok isn't like, I don't think TikTok's complicit in this. I think they're being used as a pawn in their desperation of trying to stay a relevant, usable app is what is going to have, is what's going to keep them working alongside of what's happening to, you know, us. This is, oh. But I mean, social media, we are in an abusive relationship with social media, let's be honest. Like, and like I was saying, I got quiet because my thing is misinformation. That is what I cannot fucking stand. I cannot stand misinformation, right? You have people that are like, oh, I'm like, and this is just simple shit, just down to simple shit. Like people that are like, well, aluminum in your deodorant's bad for you. Okay, well, my My pops went through multiple myeloma. My business partner went through multiple rounds of breast cancer, and their oncologists have made it clear there is no study, nowhere, no thing that shows substantial evidence that aluminum has any negative effect on your body, right? And these are people that are sitting in the chair at the salon with foil on their head while they're getting a service done. Or you have people that are like, raw milk is better for you. No, it has a lot of harmful bacteria in it. Well, it has good bacteria in it too. At what cost? Well, I heat mine up and then I cool it down to kill the bad bacteria. So you pasteurize it. So why wouldn't you just buy pasteurize? Oh, I don't like the chemicals. There's no chemicals in pasteurizing milk. Like, and these same people are like talking to you about this at the bar or whatever, smoking a cigarette, and you're like, you're worried about toxins. Okay. Like, it's misinformation is so fucking annoying. It's so annoying. It is so fucking annoying. Oh, they banned all these food colorings in the EU, like E40. No, they didn't. They just classify it differently. Like it's E120 or whatever. Like they just classify it differently. And just because it's banned in one country and not banned in the other doesn't make it healthier, because there are plenty of things that are allowed in, you know, the EU that are banned here because they're not healthy. It's like, it is so fucking frustrating and so fucking stupid to me that we have people out there that just soak up misinformation. They don't have the critical thinking or reading comprehension skills to understand half of the shit that they're fucking reading, because they're being told that, oh, going to school will turn you liberal. It's liberal indoctrination. Higher education is liberal doctrine. Why do you think the Republicans are trying to make education such a fucking scary thing to their base? Maybe because it makes them more gullible and easier to control. It's so fucking stupid. So when I saw that leftist TikTok got super organized, I was seeing a lot of really bad information and people being taken advantage of on Hair Talk. And guess who was doing all the advantage taking? Guess who was giving all the bad information? Not hairstylists. It wasn't hairstyle. It's snake oil salesmen. Use this oil on your hair. It's been proven to do this. Really? Because in a quick search on any studies on any of those ingredients, none of what you just said is true. And coating the hair in oil can suffocate certain hair, like non-porous hair, from receiving the hydration that it already has trouble receiving, and therefore dry from the inside out, make it more brittle and break off. So what you're saying isn't a one size fits all, because hair is not one size fits all. And I got into that. Right. And then I also started seeing fucking Brad Mondo and his bullshit getting on there saying, well, this is the difference between a 40 volume and a 50 volume, even though I've never heard of a 50 volume until today, which as a colorist, I should have heard that there's plenty of those. The only difference is you have to work faster while you're watching me do an on scalp application, which you're not supposed to put anything above a 30, most of the time above a 20 on scalp because of chemical burns. It's going to take one person to say, well, I'm quick, put it all over their head, fry their hair off, cause chemical burns, end up with bald spots, and probably put themselves in like an ER real quick. Like, I don't like seeing that happen to other people. I am somewhat compassionate, maybe. I don't know. Plus, it makes my industry look really bad. And the fucking thing I always got from people was, oh, well, you know what? You're just mad because money's being taken out of your pocket. No, it's not. Because when people follow his bullshit and like do the things that you guys that aren't professionals tell them to do on the internet, they end up in my chair asking me to fix it, and I have to charge more because of the amount of work it's going to take. So I actually make more money off of it. Has nothing to do with me losing money. And if these people are doing it themselves at home, they're probably not going to sit in my chair anyway, so I was never going to gain their money as it is. Then you have that one guy that's like, he walks through fucking Target, and he's a leftist, and I love anti-capitalistic bullshit, but he's walking through fucking Target and he's like, don't buy any of these companies because this is owned by L'Oreal, and this is owned by Hinckley, and this is owned by Procter & Gamble, and this one's owned by Johnson & Johnson. Buy these ones down here because all of those up there, they have links to BlackRock and Target and da-da-da-da. But down here, these are independent brands that you're buying at Target that money from Target is going to go to BlackRock. Like, it doesn't matter if you buy independent or not. Like, you don't know how fucking consumer and retail works. That's so fucking stupid to me. And everyone's like, look at what this guy said. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Because now you're encouraging people not to purchase products that are made by corporations from small businesses like salons. You're encouraging them to buy independent brands who already made their money from Target when Target purchased the lot to sell. And that money is going to corporate America. Now, if you go to a small like business, like a hair salon, a private owned hair salon, and you purchase, say, Kenra or fucking Kerastase or Paul Mitchell or whatever from them, they're making money back on that. They've already given money to the corporation to be able to carry that product. Now they're going to double that money because of Keystone, and that's how they make their profit and replenish their system, like their. And so I see these people that just get full fucking chest on the internet. This is how things work. No, it's not. It's not. The worst thing about capitalism is that in order to survive in a capitalist society, we are forced to participate in it, whether we like it or not. And everyone's like, oh, what about your iPhone that you're on? Okay, well, if I was being exploited to make something, I would hope that the person receiving the thing that I was being exploited to make uses that thing to highlight the fact that I'm being exploited, rather than just take advantage of it and be like, yeah, I love it. This is great. And who cares about people that are, you know what I mean? If you're going to be forced to exist within a society, you should be able to speak out against it. And that brings us back to TikTok and Donald Trump wanting the government to own 50% of it. So, I don't know. To me, like, all of it, it's not even a matter of like, ooh, it's conspiracy theory. All of it can be connected to each other easily. When you talk to conspiracy theorists, you go, okay, well, what about this? Well, that's not really important. And they deflect and they move somewhere else, or they move the goalpost, right? I'm not moving a goalpost. They can absolutely create a GSE through purchasing of TikTok, government-sponsored enterprise, where they can own all of it, or 50% of it, or 20% of it, or whatever. And then they have, they're directly investing in that company and essentially becoming a shareholder, which allows them to have ownership and influence over its operations. And when we have a media that is owned by the government saying what it can and cannot do with said media, where we communicate with each other, that is state-controlled, state-run media, which is authoritarian, and it has a negative impact. It's going to get real loud. Hold on. And it's going to have a negative impact on our First Amendment freedom of speech, and that's going to turn into a lawsuit that's going to go to SCOTUS, and SCOTUS, just like they ignored the 14th Amendment equal protections when it came to Roe v. Wade, which they're planning on doing when it comes to same-sex marriage, they're going to ignore the First Amendment and chip away at it, slowly but surely. Meanwhile, conservatives are out here saying Trump is great, you should love him, he did this, he did that. Okay, but their party leadership is saying, hey, you know what? Let's get rid of the Department of Education. Hey, you know what? College is a scam. Hey, you know what? You should probably avoid college because it's liberal indoctrination, which is the boogeyman. Like, don't educate yourselves. Don't have access to this information. Let us actually take more access away from you and get you to agree to us doing it. Because, as Grammy said, knowledge is power. Knowledge is currency. Knowledge is the only currency that won't lose its value. Hold on 1 second. Yep. I didn't see what you said on the mic. Why is it also not?
I don't know. I asked you to watch them.
I'm
not trying to mark anything. I'm just saying, like.
I let him out 5 minutes ago.
And I'm just saying, like do your live, but just try to be a little more mindful of everything else going on too. You know.
I let him out of the room 5 minutes ago.
I cleaned it up.
One more second. Okay, I'm back, guys. So, yeah. Oh, I feel you, Reese. I hope I'm saying that right. It really, and what makes me like it makes me mad. I don't I don't get mad at MAGA for their bigotry and ignorance, or their ignorant actions or their willful ignorance, because it's fueled by bigotry and it's fueled by white supremacy and it's fueled by all the shit that they've like consumed and the echo chambers that they sit in. On Instagram, people use the F slur against me as often as possible. And before that, it was like, oh, we're going to allow that to happen. They were already allowing it. Anytime you like reported it, someone using a slur against you, they would just say, oh, found no violations every time. But here's the thing. I've been out for 26 going on 27 years. Right? And those slurs hurled at me have no negative impact. Like it's hard for someone to actually offend me. Like if they're trying to make a personal attack against me, I don't fucking care. I know my truth, and I probably think less of them than they think of me. So like, who gives a shit, right? But it's the people out there that don't have that superpower, that don't have that I worry about, right? But here's the thing. if we were to get a social media that was owned by the United States and had to follow the First Amendment, it would be fucking over for conservatives. Because leftists and liberals understand that following the rules to get the information out there and working around and working within the boundaries to get the information out there is a lot more effective and a lot more valuable than just being hateful and cussing people out on the internet. Once we're able to do both, like it's going to be a problem. But that's not what's going to happen. All that's going to get censored, and then it's going to end up in Supreme Court, and then our First Amendment right to freedom of speech via social media or just general public speech, which is what social media would be, as long as it's not a threat to imminent violence, that's going to get chipped away at. And then shortly after that, it'll be the press. And then after that, it'll be religion. So all the Protestant Christians out there that are MAGA, or Presbyterian Christians out there that are MAGA, or Seventh-day Adventist that are MAGA, or Mormon that are MAGA, or, you know, Lutheran that are MAGA, or Baptist that are MAGA. Hope you guys are ready to decide on which sect of Christianity that you're willing to follow, because once a decision is made, that's going to be the religion that you're going to have to abide by in this country if you're going to want to exercise that belief. That's where this could all lead to. That's exactly the path that we can be on. And then after that, what's after the First Amendment? Second? Okay, let's talk about, let's also look at this real quick, because this is not like a new concept for Republicans and conservatives to attack our rights that are guaranteed to us by the Constitution. So you know how everyone's like, oh, what about the crime bill of 94, the 94 crime bill that Joe Biden signed? Okay. What they never talk about is the 95-96 taking the Streets Back Act, Take Back Our Streets Act, that was proposed by Republicans and by the way, all the Republicans also signed that 94 crime bill. So they forget about that part conveniently, usually. But the 95-96 Taking Back Our Streets Act, that was proposed by Republicans, conservatives, wanted to allow illegally seize evidence into court. They wanted to expedite the death penalty, completely, like getting rid of the appeals process. They wanted to dismiss Miranda rights. So if Miranda rights weren't told or given to the person that was being arrested, they could still be tried. Like all of that's under the Fifth and Fourth Amendment. And they were like, yeah, let's get rid of those. Let's fuck that shit. That was in 95-96. It didn't pass, luckily. But they just felt the 94 crime bill wasn't harsh enough. Who do you think that would have affected the most? Marginalized communities. That's why the conservatives were all about it back then, right? So they've gone after the Fifth Amendment and the Fourth in the past. right to privacy, illegal search and seizure, all that. They've also just recently with Roe v. Wade went after the 14th Amendment, equal protections. They're trying to go after it again, but a little bit harder with same-sex marriage. And then this opens up an avenue for them to start chipping away at the First Amendment. So eventually, Second Amendment's going to come into play. When people start getting real pissed about their right to freedom of speech, all these gun-toting MAGA and leftists that are going to have a problem with it, all of a sudden they're going to be like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, we're in danger here, so we're going to take all those away from you." And it'll be really interesting to see how much of MAGA will be like, "Yeah, that's a good idea. They should do that because, I mean, if the leftists get a hold of them, then, who knows what could happen." It's these next 4 years are going to be a fucking shit show. And I think this is why they're not letting us go live on TikTok right now. I'm probably gonna get off here in just a minute because I'm about to hit an hour. And I'll leave it. I'll post this up. I'll keep it up on my page, but I'm gonna probably go live over on Insta if you guys aren't over there, and probably get a little bit more of a discussion happening over there because there's more features to lives over there than there are over here. So I don't know, I might have to restart my Twitch stream or something. Let's see. This is so fucking annoying. What pisses me off is MAGA or feeding into the supporters of MAGA, or feeding into this boogeyman of liberal indoctrination through education and information and knowledge. They're being taught, if you don't agree with it, then you should deny it. And we'll tell you what you want to hear so you can deny everything else that might actually make you alert. That's the hardest part for me. Not their fucking bigotry and all that other shit that drives them. It's that. Because once they realize that they're being used as a fucking pawn, it's going to be too late. Strength in numbers, you know what I mean? And, white supremacy is gaining that through the government and the people that support that. So we're kind of screwed here. Oh, you're in Idaho? Yeah. So Idaho, I'm not sure when you popped in. Thank you, Just. This is more of a political rant. This page is going to be all over the place. So you're going to hear me talk a lot about American politics. You'll hear me talk about Harry. You'll hear me talk about everything. I'm going to turn it into my fucking TikTok. So it's going to be more of that. Probably be some blogs, probably. I have a vlog camera that I keep in my salon for a podcast I've been doing with my business partner. It's on hiatus right now because we just had a lot of things we need to take care of. But as far as TS goes, Idaho is trying to put forth. Oh, and here's the thing. Here's what pisses me off about them going after same-sex marriage, because Idaho's whole argument, I'll even just to make sure I'm giving you guys accurate information. Idaho same-sex marriage ban. So it's a resolution that they're introducing, asking the Supreme Court to reconsider Obergefell v. Hodges' decision that legalized same-sex marriage nationwide and allow Idaho to restore its ban on such unions. It will get a full community hearing, right? Now, they're claiming the resolution makes the false assertion that the court's decision, Obergefell v. Hodges, causes collateral damage to other constitutional rights, including religious liberty. Well, Tennessee just figured that out by saying, a straight, interracial, or same-sex couple can be denied by any clergy that doesn't want to, doesn't want to marry them. But you know what? I promise you'll never see a straight white couple get denied that. it's only going to be interracial and same-sex couples. But they found a way around that to be able to like say no and still claim religious liberty. So they also, here's the thing. Every time they say anything about same-sex marriage, being legal or illegal, what have you, every single time they cite religion. Not all religion, they cite Christianity. Catholicism is a form of Christianity. So they cite Christianity every single fucking time. Okay. Well, the Bible defines, okay, cool. Hindus don't believe in your Bible. Buddhists don't believe in your Bible. Taoists don't believe in your Bible. Jews believe something different. Muslims believe something different. They may believe something similar to you, but their Bible doesn't say what your Bible says. Like, so if your Bible defines it a certain way, then what you're saying is that marriage should happen under the belief structure of your Bible, meaning under your religion is the only way that marriage should actually be able to happen. So every Muslim marriage, every Jewish marriage, every Hindu marriage, every Native Indigenous marriage, every, non-theistic marriage, every marriage that has nothing to do with your religion should be considered invalid by the United States. Like, girl, no. Like, it's Christianity has become a toxic epidemic in this country. I mean, it's always been one, but it's been really out there lately. It's been very bold. You guys got me for another like 3.5 minutes. But, I mean, you are in Idaho, and Washington is right there. So it's not too hard of a move to make, TS. And Washington has the most protections for LGBTQ plus people, especially youth. So that's an option because they're probably going to do the same thing with same-sex marriage and turn it back over to the states. And that's going to be their way of getting around the 14th Amendment. Well, okay, here's the thing. So there's a supremacy clause. This is a problem with that. This is how, like, you guys should know. So this is what the supremacy clause does. It's found in Article 6, Clause 2 of the Constitution. It allows the federal government to make laws, enforce treaties, and create a central bank without interference from states. It establishes the Constitution, federal laws, and treaties as the supreme law of the land, and it requires judges in every state to follow the Constitution and federal laws. That's the supremacy clause, right? So the very first line of the freedom of speech, right, is the government cannot restrict, okay, so freedom for religion. The government cannot establish a national religion or favor one religion over another. People can practice their religion without government interference. The First Amendment, word for word. I just don't want to get the wording right. Prevents Congress from making laws respecting an establishment of religion. Prohibiting the free exercise of religion or abridging the freedom of speech, the freedom of the press, the freedom of assembly, or the right to petition the government for redress or of grievances. So this is what's going to be affected if the U.S. has any ownership in TikTok and they start censoring people. They'll censor people based on freedom to exercise religion or opinion about religion. They will exercise freedom of speech, which is under that opinion about religion. Freedom of the press, they'll infringe on that by censoring what press information can get out there, what accounts can go where it's going to go. Freedom of assembly, this is where we all come together to talk about these ideas, to voice our opinion to the government, and the right to petition the government for redress of grievances. So, end of the day, making the Bible law of the land won't work in a state, even if it comes down to state rights, which is under the 10th Amendment, which powers not given to the federal government are reserved to the states or the people. And one of the powers given to the federal government is freedom from religion. No law shall be made in respect to any one religion or any established religion. So, I don't know. I'll probably be live over on Instagram in like half hour. So we can catch up over there if you guys would like to head over there too. I'm going live on different platforms to kind of get myself pushed out on the algorithm depending on where I need to be, when I need to be there to be able to help, help clear up information for you guys. So we all know, so we're all aware. I did go to school for literature initially. That's what my degree's in. I do hair for a living because I make more money doing that. I went to school for literature because it was something I wanted to do, and hair allowed me to afford that. While I was in school, that's when the conversation of our founding fathers said this and wanted this and that. And I said, all right, fuck it, bet. So I switched my focus from like story origins and how they're told to early American literature, which is consuming the same media that those that our founding fathers consumed. So that's how they saw the world, reading their journal entries, Federalist Papers, all that. And I double minored in U.S. history and political science. So I graduated with honors. So I have a strong reading comprehension and critical thinking, a set of critical thinking skills, and I understand how the government works. Now, my theories it's a theory, so it's going to work off of a hypothetical. And I'll make it very clear that I'm saying this is my theory, this is what I'm seeing, just so you guys are assured, like you guys are assured that I'm not just saying this is fact. I will make sure I'm reading something as said correctly, so that way I'm not paraphrasing and skewing data to make my point. Okay, so thank you guys for joining me. I'm going to be over on Instagram in like a half hour, and we can talk more over there. All right, bye.